Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Successful Women's TV show. My name is Galit Ventura-Rozen, and I am co-founder of Everyday Woman TV and a professional speaker. One of my favorite things to do in the world is to interview women from everywhere that are doing wonderful things to support and help others. Today, I have the privilege of having Kohila on from Vancouver, Canada. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I was just sharing with Kohila that I just got back from Canada, and she was sharing with me that it doesn't get as cold where she is, where I went, which was kind of fun to talk about. So thanks for sharing that. So Kohila Sivas, did I say it right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Kohila Sivas is the creator of the revolutionary Math Codes method and meta learning de-stress method, a unique system designed to recover learning loss and demystify learning. Wow. These methods are grounded in brain science and neurolinguistics. She developed these systems over 24 years, working one-on-one with over 1,600 struggling students. That is amazing. I am so excited today to talk to you, since you are a learning success coach, about everything is solvable.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to jump in first. Would you share with us a little bit about how you came across this need and then started developing these methods?
Yeah. It started with me because I'm a suicide survivor myself. So for me to come out of that, I found success in math. I applied myself after, surviving that. I needed to do something because I couldn't escape. I'm back where I was. So trying to figure that out. And that's why I used the title, Everything is Solvable, because when I decided to end my life, I thought things were not solvable. Nothing will work. Nothing is going to change, right? But when I was given a second chance, that's when I started solving stuff. And first things that I started solving was math equations.
And how old were you when you when you went through this experience and then you came across this ability to help others?
I was 13 when I actually started hacking math. So through math, hacking math and learning math and making math a therapeutical sessions for myself, I got great success with it. That confidence led me to wanting to become a teacher, because I wanted to share everything that I learned and make math easy for my students, right? So the better place is to become a teacher. But when I entered the teaching, it wasn't the right environment for me to share what I wanted to share with them. It was just another failing system to me. Anyway, that's what I felt. So I quickly changed that, and I started my own business where I started helping students as a tutor. But then that eventually didn't satisfy me either, because when students come to you in a tutoring situation, they were looking for somebody to do their homework.
Okay.
I wanted to transform them. I wanted to transform their relationship with learning. I want them to become independent learners, which wasn't happening. They were just coming for me to complete their work. So that's why I have a book out called Escape the Tutoring Trap, where I explained how
That's a good title.
I got trapped in that. So eventually what I was able to do over those years is I crafted my own methodology, as you were reading earlier, with the Math Codes methodology plus the learning style and all of the neurolinguistic and neurologies and stuff. I put it together and I was able to come up with the meta learning de-stress method.
Okay.
And that's when things started really working with my students. Anybody and everybody that I started working with, they got the results that I wanted them to have. That is at the end of the day, I always tell my students, I want you to fire me as being your coach, because that means you're successful. I want them.
What age group is this working for?
Anyone. Like I work from my methodology has been applied with young as 5, 6, 7-year-old all the way to second year, third year university. Yeah, it's across anywhere. It's just students.
Yes. Well, it sounds like it could be anybody, even someone that's not a student, an adult that's struggling with math and wants to have a better relationship with it. And I love that we're talking about this topic. So first and foremost, I do not want to just slide over the fact that when you were 13, you went through this experience and you thought about taking your life. So I don't want to slide over that, even though today we're not talking about that. So I'm glad that you're here. Obviously, you have a reason to be here, and I'm glad that you were able to recognize or whatever that story is, and now you're living your purpose and passion. So anybody that's listening or watching, I want to just make that very clear first, because I have a history with that myself, with a best friend that took her life when I was 15. So it's very important to me that if anybody's listening or watching, we're not going to just go right over that. If you yourself are not doing well, please reach out to somebody and please ask for help. I mean, what a great example right here of somebody that didn't think life was worth living, and then now look at you today. So I just want to share that first. So Kohila, when we're talking about everything is solvable, will you tell me a little bit about what you mean?
Yes, it comes from math, of course, because I started hacking. I have a system for math that makes math fun for kids, right? It makes it easy. And that's what I wanted to share. But then it didn't work out. But then eventually I went into learning success coaching, which is learning to learn. Why are you learning? How to learn? How does our brain work? Because nobody tells us how anything works. They just tells us what to do all the time in the school system, which is a failure itself for many students, right? So that's where it comes from. So whenever I work with students now, I have to add to it, I'm actually training other teachers under my methodology since last March. So my mission has expanded. So we have over 80 coaches who have been certified under my methodology since last March. So this is not just for math, it's actually for any subject.
Okay.
It is just learning to learn.
So where have you reached? Are you doing this only in person? Are you also doing this virtually?
This is all virtual. We have clients all over the world now. I've been working with all over the world for the past 11 years, but my coaches come from Canada, and US majority, because you know how teachers are very, they're going through a lot of tough time in the US right now. So since the pandemic, the situation in the school systems is, it's not good for them. So I had the opportunity last year, I was thinking my business was booming since COVID and everything, I was booming. So I had an opportunity to either hire the teachers and employ them or to empower them. So I chose to empower them. And that's where I now certify the teachers as learning success coach, and I help them start their own online business as a learning success coach.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's give some tips or some value or something that those that are listening and watching today, obviously there's a program, they can reach out to you, they can learn more, and we'll share all that information towards the end today. But what is it that we can tell those that, let's just use math, because a lot of people say they're not good at math. And I'm going to share something vulnerable about me. Most of my life, I've said, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at math. And I sell multi-million-dollar buildings based on numbers. So I want to ask you if you could share just 2 or 3 different tips for those that are watching and listening related to if they think I'm not good at math. What could we share with them so they could be better?
It's that phrase you just said, right? Rewriting that statement, right?
Absolutely.
I've always said I'm not a writer. Now I have 2 books published.
Exactly.
So it's rewriting that story. What are you telling yourself every day? So this is what I work with my student is, if you keep saying something is not possible, it's not possible.
Amen. So true. And I'm going to share with you that a few months ago, I stopped sharing that. So before it was, well, I'm not good at numbers. Now I say to myself, nope, I am. And I'm doing a lot more math in my head than I've done my entire life. And people are like, oh my gosh, Galit, what happened? I said, I reframed my words. I have a master's in therapy. So what we call it in therapy is reframing your words. And I stopped convincing myself of something that wasn't true. But what happens is you convince yourself and you start believing it. So I love that you started with that. Thank you so much, Kohila. I love that. What else can we share?
And also, biggest thing in what happened in math and historically, culturally, is that everybody wanted everybody to be fast. Give me the answer like that, right? And if you can, then you called yourself, oh, I must be dumb in math. Because my dad used to ask what's 9 times 9 when I was young, and I would be like, I don't want to, I couldn't come up with it. And he would be like, are you
And
so
if you
smart?
can't, it's like, okay, go back and practice.
Yeah, but he wasn't like that. A lot of
Of
parents tell
course,
me
but
so.
I'm talking general.
Yeah.
General public, right? When we're, I think it was fourth or fifth grade, it was you've got to learn your multiplication, and every week you learn a different set, and you've got to know them by Sunday, and
Yeah.
so you're quizzing yourself, right? Like that.
Yeah, and even with bigger numbers, like if somebody said, what's if I have $1,000, I did this, I did that, and how much do I have now? And if you don't say it right away in a social situation, and whoever says it is like, oh wow, you're so smart. We used to say
Very
this
true.
all the time. So what does it happen to the other people who haven't come up with the answer right away? It
Yes,
already tells them that you're not that smart in math. So we start
very
telling ourselves that back again, that storyline. Yeah, must not be. Look at him. He is so good. He came up with that so fast. So then there was another thing that we weren't allowed to use our fingers, right? Like if you use your fingers to count, it was
yes.
such bad thing to do. There are kids who need that. So we learn differently. Everybody learns different. I cannot tell you. I've been with so many students. I cannot apply what I apply with one student with the other students. That's
I
why
love
our
them.
school system is failing, because we're trying to fit every child into one mold.
Very
It's
true.
not possible. It's not
Very
possible.
true. As a mom, I have three children. They're adults now, but as a mom, I had an experience like that, not related to math, but to behavior and to boredom. So I remember from the age of my oldest, from the age of 5 years old, I was called into school and his behavior. And I said, he's bored.
Yeah.
He's too smart. Give him more work.
Yes.
Well, we give him the work, and then when he finishes it too fast, and then he's
Bored.
moving in his chair. And so what I did as a mom, and I'm sharing this for those moms and dads out there, is I made sure I went in and I spoke to the teachers and I told them, this is not a kid that fits in a box. Let's go. What else can we give him? What else can we do? And what worked for me was when he was done with his work, because he was done so fast, to help the other students,
Yes.
to go up to the front of the class and even teach. And I'm telling you, it was every year, Kohila, every year, 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks of starting school, I got a call. There was a meeting. And then within another 2 weeks, he was the favorite student.
Yes.
So the reason I'm sharing this is because anybody that's listening, your child doesn't have to fit in a box. And Kohila's sharing with you methods that can teach you out of school, but we still have to go to school. Not everybody. Some people are homeschooled. And so make sure you're talking to your teachers. Make sure you're there for your students as an advocate when they don't fit in that box. So I really love that you shared that. What else can we share with everybody that might help?
Yeah, and as part of our program works for anybody. It doesn't matter homeschool, unschool, work school, or in school. But the idea is, as you said, as parents, when a child is bored, we always think the behavior comes, right? Fixing the behavior happens in different ways, and it has to be customized to that child. Like you did a good thing, and that's what, as a learning success coach, we guide parents, we guide the student, and then we also become the mediator between the teacher, because sometimes parent-teacher relationship could be
Emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people think each other are blaming.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, if you have, and we coach on that as well to the parents. It's important for you to have a good relationship with the teacher, even if you're feeling frustrated with the teacher. The way you approach a human being will respond in different ways, right? So they're still human. So I could be angry. I know a lot of teachers are not the greatest teachers, right? Even those, the way we approach them could teach them to change how they respond.
And we always hope for that. And there's always going to be the cases where they don't, because at the end of the day, I always compare it to like attorneys or lawyers. Mm-hmm. Not every attorney or lawyer is horrible. I work with many wonderful attorneys and lawyers every day. And so you always have to remember that the same way you're talking about a student not fitting in a box, the teachers aren't always going to adjust either. And that's okay. You just figure out a way around it and you say, okay, I'll have a few more months with them. I was very blessed to have wonderful teachers that did work with me year after year. And I'm so glad, because today my son is 26 and he's so successful. He's an entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses. And I can't tell you how many times, Kohila, someone wanted me to put him on medication, or somebody said he had this diagnosis or that diagnosis. I'm like, yeah, that's not true. Let's go. And I'm not saying that there aren't some kids out there with certain things that they do need help with when it comes to different learning disabilities and things like that. But I knew my son was just bored. He was just bored. I love the tips that you gave. I love that you're doing this. It sounds like if there's any teachers listening that want to be certified as well, to reach out, correct? Mm-hmm. If there's any moms and dads or students themselves, because at some age they can reach out to you and learn more about your programs and your coaching. Would you share where they can go to learn more, how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm everywhere on social media, but most importantly, my website for parents. We do have a complimentary or free clarity coaching call for parents with our coaches. They will take you through a process of seeing where your child is, because sometimes when your child is struggling, you don't know what the options are, right? There's so many options.
We don't as parents because we're too emotionally involved.
So we need to take that away. So that's why we offer this 45-minute, clarity coaching call. That could be, they could find that on my website. It's learningsuccessacademy.com.
Learningsuccessacademy.com. And is your social media under your personal name and the business, or just your personal name?
My personal. They could find
Perfect.
me.
So they can find you on social media if they want to reach out to you directly, or they could reach out to you through the website as well, and probably set up the appointment, I'm assuming.
Yes, there's a link that they could just connect in.
Nice and easy. So give the website one more time so we could finish with that.
learningsuccessacademy.com is where there's a link. You can directly book it on our schedule, and one of our coaches will, take you through the process of understanding where your child is. Because since the COVID, there's been a lot of changes for our kids, right? Our students' life. And we just went along as nothing has happened. We just picked up where we left off and went back to school, and we're going as nothing has happened. But there's many students that are struggling. Children are struggling socially, emotionally, academically. They're just not together. So we have to help them.
Yeah. Oh, so true. So true. And I love that it's pretty much from all ages, any age. So if they're interested in learning more, to talk to you. And I appreciate everything you're doing. This is the first time that I've learned about this, except for, of course, knowing I was going to interview you. And I appreciate all the knowledge that you've given me. Thank you, and given our audience. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing all the things that you're doing to help others.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And if you're a teacher, we have learningsuccesscoaches.com. Again, you can book
successcoaches.com.
Yeah, if you're a teacher.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
I want to leave
Thank you so much.
I want to leave with a teacher who's, I have a book coming out on March 20th. So you can find that it's called Teacher's Epic Exit Plan.
Okay.
That's another gift that we have for teachers as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today, for sharing your area of expertise. I absolutely believe everything is solvable. Mm-hmm. And I like that relates to the math and everything you do. Much creative. I love that. And thank you so much to everybody that's listening and watching. My name is Galit Ventura-Rozen, and this is the Successful Woman's TV show. If you're listening, make sure to check us out at everydaywoman.tv.com. If you're watching, you can also listen on iTunes on your way to work or on the way to take the kids to soccer. And I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.